hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, Low Nose Boxing. I haven't been on in a minute, a slight minute, because I've been busy. But before we start, first and foremost, I want to say thank you to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. If it wasn't for him, none of this would even be possible. Tonight on Low Nose Boxing, we're going to talk about the potential showdown between Saul Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez and the history of the triangle theory. Y'all already know my gimmick, right? I'll talk to y'all about recent boxing events, but then I have to bring the past into the equation just to give you an example that there's nothing new under the sun. That's why my content is called Low Nose Boxing. The history of boxing, the past, the present, and the future. So before we cook, once again, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Now, Saul Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez are being spoken about by the fans. A lot of people are making comparisons to both of their performances against Caleb Plant. There's fans that are saying that Canelo's gonna beat David Benavidez based on their performance against Caleb Plant. Canelo Alvarez was able to score a stoppage over Caleb Plant in the 11th round. Going into that 11th round, the fight was pretty close. You know, gotta make sure my dribble is right, you know. The fight was close before Canelo stopped Caleb Plant in round 11. Caleb Plant also fought David Benavidez, and that fight went 12 rounds. It went the distance. Caleb Plant, just like in the Canelo fight, he did have success early on. But just because Canelo Alvarez scored the stoppage over Caleb Plant and Benavidez didn't, it doesn't mean that Canelo had a better performance. Because in that fight, Caleb Plant was feeling less comfortable earlier on than he did against Canelo Alvarez. When he fought Canelo Alvarez, Caleb Plant felt comfortable enough to have a conversation with Canelo Alvarez, I believe in the 9th or 10th round. And then Canelo hit the switch and turned it into another level and went out there and stopped Caleb Plant. But the reason why I say Caleb Plant was less comfortable against David Benavidez is because David Benavidez was applying non-stop pressure. And he was also inflicting a lot of punishment. Caleb Plant, I gave him the first 4 rounds, maybe 5 the most, but David Benavidez just swept the rest of the fight. So, to me, David Benavidez did inflict more punishment than Canelo Alvarez. He imposed his will. He was on top of Caleb Plant. And by the 7th round, Caleb Plant looked like the way he looked against Canelo in the 11th round, with the exception of the stoppage. My personal opinion, if the referee wasn't intervening throughout the action every time the guys got on the inside, I believe David Benavidez would have been able to inflict more punishment and score the stoppage. Now, I say that to say this. My personal opinion, I still believe that Canelo Alvarez would beat David Benavidez if they were to fight. However, my assessment on that potential mega fight is not based on their performance against Caleb Plant, which brings me to my topic. The triangle theory in boxing has been going on for a long time. The triangle theory is when you have 2 fighters facing off against the same guy, similar competition. It's called a barometer. Example, Canelo Alvarez and Benavidez are 2 guys that the world wants to see eventually fight inside that ring. Canelo Alvarez fought Caleb Plant. So people going into this Plant-Benavidez fight were very eager to see what Benavidez would do against Caleb Plant, a similar opponent, just to get a gauge. But in reality, you really can't go by what one fighter does with another fighter that his potential adversary did. It doesn't work that way. And I can give you countless of examples. Devin Haney, for instance, right? Devin Haney went 12 rounds or 9 rounds against Mason Menard. Teofimo Lopez knocked out Mason Menard in 1 round. Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney have not fought yet, but that's a fight that somewhere down the road should eventually happen because both guys are nemesis to each other. Both guys are rivals. Teofimo Lopez lost to George Kambosos Jr. So Devin Haney fought George Kambosos Jr. and dominated him twice. So the average fan would say, if Devin Haney beat George Kambosos, who beat Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney's going to beat Teofimo Lopez. Now, whether that's going to happen or not, that's another story, another topic. But what I'm trying to say is that you can't go by what one fighter did with another fighter. Another example of the past. I'm going to take it back in the day. Roberto Duran, right? Roberto Duran was the only guy out of the Fab Four, the 4 Kings, that was able to beat Sugar Ray Leonard. Tommy Hearns lost to Sugar Ray Leonard. Marvin Hagler lost to Sugar Ray Leonard. But both Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns beat Roberto Duran. Duran beat Sugar Ray Leonard. You feel where I'm coming from? I'm going to give you another example. Roberto Duran fought Thomas Hitman Hearns and was knocked out in 2 rounds, right? Then Roberto Duran fought Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and the fight went the distance. Marvin Hagler won a close, competitive 15-round decision. So you could imagine going into the Hagler-Hearns fight, a lot of people probably felt that Tommy Hearns would have a great shot of winning, being that he looked better against Roberto Duran. But we all know how that fight turned out. Marvin Hagler knocked out Tommy Hearns in 3 rounds. Another example, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Leading to that fight, both guys were facing off against similar opposition, which is what we call a barometer. That's an excellent way to hype up a fight. Manny Pacquiao, for the most part, was beating the guys that Floyd Mayweather beat in more impressive fashion, with the exception of Juan Manuel Marquez. Manny Pacquiao knocked out Ricky Hatton in 2 rounds. Floyd Mayweather knocked out Ricky Hatton in 10 rounds. Manny Pacquiao stopped Miguel Cotto in 12. Floyd Mayweather had a tough fight with Miguel Cotto that went the distance. Manny Pacquiao stopped Oscar De La Hoya. Floyd Mayweather went the distance with Oscar De La Hoya. So there were a lot of people out there that felt that Manny Pacquiao was going to win that fight. But we all know how that fight turned out. Floyd Mayweather turned out to be the better man, the better competitor, and won that fight. Once again, you cannot go by the triangle theory. Another example, Fernando Vargas. Leading into the fight with Felix Trinidad, had defeated Winky Wright in a tough 12-round decision, right? But when Fernando Vargas and Felix Trinidad fought each other, Felix Trinidad knocked out Fernando Vargas in the 12th round. Somewhere down the road, Felix Trinidad and Winky Wright fought each other, and Winky Wright wiped him out. He beat him for 12 rounds, dominated him. Once again, you cannot go by what one fighter does with another fighter. Boxing doesn't work that way. That's the triangle theory. That's how it works. So I say that to say this: you cannot go by that. You cannot predict the outcome of a fight based on what one fighter does with another fighter. Right now, we got Gervonta Davis coming up in his mega fight with Ryan Garcia. Both guys have a similar opponent, a guy named Francesca, if I'm not correct. Gervonta Davis stopped him in, I believe, 9 or 10 rounds. Ryan Garcia fought Francesca and knocked him out 1 shot, put him to sleep in the 1st round, right? It doesn't mean that Ryan Garcia is going to beat Tank Davis, and it doesn't mean that he's not going to beat Tank Davis. They have to fight each other at the end of the day. Terrence Crawford stopped Sean Porter. Sean Porter went the distance with Errol Spence. Does it mean that Terrence Crawford is going to beat Errol Spence because he got the stoppage? No, absolutely not. Now, do I believe Terrence Crawford is going to win that fight? When they fight, if they fight, God willing, that remains to be seen, and that's for another video. Once again, the history of boxing, man, we've been having these fights, these barometer fights, where fighters face off against similar competition. Muhammad Ali, for instance, he fought Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier beat Muhammad Ali, right? And then Joe Frazier went on to get knocked out in 2 brutal rounds by Big George Foreman. So going into the Big George Foreman versus Muhammad Ali fight, a lot of people were afraid for Muhammad Ali's life. They thought that George Foreman was going to kill him, and we all know how that fight turned out. Muhammad Ali won that fight. So once again, I'm just educating y'all on how this works. It's a great thing. It's exciting to see barometer fights, but we can't really tell how a fight is going to play out until they actually play out. Now, with that being said, I really hope that we do get that David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez fight. And it was a pleasure talking boxing with you guys. And once again, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, Low Nose Boxing, on Instagram, D Low Nose Boxing 215-226. I'm out.